I'm Eric Engelbert with Orange County Real Estate, and today I'm just going to talk about some of the real estate data that's occurred over the past 7 days. I'm going to try and put some of that into a historical context, and we can see why we've had some of the trends that we've had. I've been looking at the data over the past 10 years and I've noticed a couple of interesting things. The first thing is it doesn't look like we're going to have a real estate crash. Two main factors are, one, we have historically low inventory still. We've been talking about that for 2.5 years, but it's still a major factor. And it's going to keep things strong in real estate. Also, days on market is still very low, which is a sign that there's high and strong demand. There are a few markets that have been in the news, like Salt Lake City, Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona. Those markets have really slowed down, screeching halt. But those are a small sample size. There's still lots of demand in the country and definitely here in Orange County. So overall, the real estate market is strong, but with such low inventory, it's gonna be hard to say that there's gonna be a real estate crash. I just don't see it. Another interesting thing I saw is over the last 10 years, inventory has been steadily declining. There's two main factors of why, or maybe three factors, but the two main factors are, in that period of time, the last 10 years, 8 million move-up buyers decided not to sell their previous home, and instead they decided to rent it out, which would give them, passive income. Another interesting thing that I noticed is that the age group of people between 30 and 40 make up the largest part of the population here in the United States, and those were all first-time home buyers. Not all, but a lot of first-time home buyers in that group, and of course they didn't have another home to sell. So those are two factors that ate up a lot of the inventory here in the US. So economists were saying we were due for major housing inflation even without COVID. So the question is now, where's new inventory going to come from? Builders obviously were not able to keep up with demand, so that's one problem. But where is the inventory going to come from? And really, we need to see a weakness in demand before we have a huge increase in inventory. So what would cause the weakness in demand? Maybe high interest rates for a long period of time. That would probably be the first thing that you would think of. But in the last week, interest rates actually dropped down a little bit. So and demand continues to be hot. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in the future and see what happens with inventory and interest rates. There's so many weird variables and weird factors going on in the world. It's really hard to predict. We really just have to wait and see. But until that inventory gets to 1 million, and like I said, we're only at 450, until it gets to 1 million, there's no reason to believe that we're going to have a crash. The other thing is people are thinking there's going to be foreclosures out there or distressed sales, but really because here in the US we've done so well with home appreciation that we're not going to see foreclosures. I mean, if people decide not to make their mortgage payment for 6 months or a year, then most likely they'll have an opportunity to sell that home before it gets to a distressed sale. They can have a traditional sale and then be able to keep the equity that they have earned over the last few years. So that's not likely to happen, or not likely to cause inventory to increase. All right, so let's look at some of the stats here in Orange County. First of all, the current properties for sale lies at 3,693. That's slightly up from last week. And active under contracts and pending homes is at 2,182. That's slightly down, but hardly anything to note. Days on market has gone up to 24 days, but that's still a very low number that shows strong buyer demand. A couple outliers, or one in particular outlier for days on market was Newport Beach, and that number's at 52 for Newport Beach, but I can explain it by something, and that is there's 25 homes that are pending, and those days on market were only 19. So why is there such a difference between the days on market, between those pendings and then the actives? And I would say it's just price. Homes that are priced well are still selling quickly. So we have 52 homes in Newport Beach that are, a handful of homes in Newport Beach that are over 52 days on market. So there's something wrong with those homes, like they're not priced appropriately, or some of the things, like maybe there's a $40 million home. Obviously, they take longer to sell, but it was interesting to see that the days on market for those 25 homes was only 19 days. So those homes were definitely priced differently at the market price. In Orange County, homes are still selling for over the list price, 5% higher. So that's another sign of a strong market here in Orange County. Immediate sales in Orange County has gone down a little bit, but it's gone down a lot in the US, down to 19%. That's a good sign for first-time home buyers. Not as much competition for them. Having those immediate sales, really taking all that inventory off in the first 2 days, makes it difficult for first-time home buyers, not having choices and having to write offers well over ask. It's a not healthy market and not good for first-time home buyers. Price reductions in Orange County is at 14.4%, and in the US it's at 29%. So in the entire US, it is going up, and it'll probably get above 30% next week. That's also a sign of things that could change. People that have put their house on the market probably too high, not selling. Maybe those 52 days on market in Newport Beach might make those people lower their price a little bit. So we'll see, we'll follow that trend and see what happens. And as I said before, the 30-year fixed rate has actually come down a bit. It's now at 5.83. Is that going to help stabilize some of the things in the market? I guess we'll have to wait and watch. So we'll come back in 7 days and recap what's happened and try and compare it to this week. Hopefully you found that useful. Also, I can get very specific data for zip codes or cities. If you're interested in what's happening in your neighborhood, you can just leave something down in the notes below or message me. All right, thanks for watching. Again, I'm Eric Engelbert with Orange County Real Estate, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.